Hello everyone, this is Fantasy-esque and welcome back to Season 4 of Luminous Clan in ClanGen, the Werecats clan generator game. When we left off in the previous episode, we finally had the murderer of Daisy Quake revealed to us in a surprising twist of events. Magpie Heart discovered that Sunchill accidentally murdered Daisy Quake because he was trying to help out with the whole kitten situation. He thought that Daisy Quake needed some nice smelling herbs to get him and Fronstar in the mood for kittens, have a nice ambience. But in his childishness, he didn't check to see if the herbs were toxic, and he accidentally ended up poisoning Daisy Quake. And now he's carrying the guilt of being promoted and now having all of the medicine of the clan at his disposal after that absolute blunder. So we had that bit of information. And then surprisingly, Hal Falcon decided to break it off with Tornfern. So now that match isn't even a thing. And the clan is, I think, reeling a little bit from his decision. But so far, Lupine Star has been keeping her calm. So she, I suppose, has some thoughts in her mind, and she has a backup plan for Tornfern. So we are going to dive straight to the leader's den, and we are going to roll the dice to see what Lupine Star is going to do for the next gathering. So here we go. Okay, we got an 8 for the D10, so that's Shade Clan, and we got a 3 for the D8, which is Offend. We've been offending a lot, but thankfully we're still in an age of peace. But okay, let's go ahead and skip a moon. This, I think, is going to be also when Mousepaw becomes a warrior, so that's very exciting for us as well. And here we go. With the additional focus of the clan, 4 pieces of prey and 2 herbs were gathered. Luminous Clan doesn't have enough prey for next moon, which means we're going to be focused on hunting during our patrols. Before the gathering, Essential counsels his clan to begin cutting ties and ending friendships with Shade Clan warriors. The tension hanging over this gathering makes it clear Shade Clan notices. So Shade Clan relations have worsened. I find it very funny that our current leader, is a murderer, and the medicine cat who is now handling her affairs is also a murderer, so I guess like attracts like. Lupine Star gazes up into Silver Pelt and finds that finally the grief has begun to lessen. Magpie Heart gazes up into Silver Pelt and finds that finally the grief has begun to lessen. Are these cats going to finally be able to participate in patrols? Fingers crossed. Rumors reach your clan that the exiled Oleander Echo has died recently, so one of the lightless cats has passed away. Mousepaw holds his head high as Lupine Star announces it is time for him to be given his warrior name. He is named Mouse Stripe in honor of his charisma, and the clan explodes into loud cheers. Mouse Stripe. I think Mouse Stripe is okay. I don't think I mind the name Mouse Stripe. I am fine with that. We need to take a look at him because I'm very, very excited to see how his 2 mentors have played a role in shaping his personality, because they were 2 very different cats. We had a nervous cat, Fronstar, who mentored him for the first half of his apprenticeship, and then for the second half we had a bloodthirsty cat, Hal Falcon. And he got along well with both in different ways. I'm very curious to see how he looks and, how he's been influenced like. So let's take a look at him. Oh my goodness, Mouse Stripe. Look at our purple geode cat. You are pretty. So he has retained his charismatic personality, and he has omen sense, which is very interesting. I wonder if that means that, I suppose it's not always a bad omen. It could be a good omen. But that's interesting that he kind of is able to sense good things and maybe bad things that happen in the clan. But he looks like a geode. I mean, we knew this when he was an apprentice, but he is so pretty. He's such a pretty purple cat. He looks like a geode to me, like a purple geode. But okay, let's see how he was influenced. And also, guys, along with his warrior name of Mouse Stripe, he has the title of the Mouse Prince. So this is our Mouse Prince. How exciting, how exciting. Well, let's take a look. He was mentored by Frond, Tornfern, and Halfalcon. So apparently in that in-between stage as well, Tornfern had some sort of input in his education, like while he was transferring from one mentor to another, which is fascinating. Frond influenced him to be more likely to avoid a fight, follow the status quo, and refrain from socializing. So I suppose Frond's method was more to, always basically ensure that you have a peaceful state in the clan. Don't go around looking for fights. You have a skill with words. Use it to kind of disarm your foes, if anything. Follow the status quo. I think also Frond kind of learned that the cats, they, like in Luminous Clan, they feel very strongly towards following the system. And when you go against the system or you come from outside the system, it's very hard for them to warm up to you. So kind of take advantage of, the family you were born into and win them that way. And I think the refrain from socializing is, yes, follow the status quo, but don't get too carried away by the cats around you. You need to make sure that you have a strong enough sense of self to follow through with your own tasks. So I think that's what Frond would have imparted onto him. And then Halfalcon influenced him to be more likely to be ready for a fight, refrain from socializing, and break away from the status quo. So like I said, his two mentors were completely the opposite, because in the second half of his training, when he was a lot older, Halfalcon had a different approach. Halfalcon said, no, when you need to get into a fight, you have a skill with words. Use it to win the fight. Don't run away or try and escape from it. But he did agree with refraining from socializing, probably as a way to say, don't get distracted by the people around you. And then to break away from the status quo rather than following the status quo. And I think we saw this in how Halfalcon refused to accept his pairing with Tornfern, and when he didn't feel it was right, he talked to the leader and then he broke it off. So I think in a way telling Mousestripe that sometimes other cats will make arrangements for you that are not suitable to you. You need to be able to have the courage and the confidence to walk away from that and tell them no. And then Halfalcon helped him become better at finding omens. I really like this because I feel like we kind of saw early on how Halfalcon really took the time to listen to Mousestripe when Mousestripe was having like visions of StarClan and stuff, or he had things he was curious about, and Halfalcon was taking him seriously, his questions seriously. And I feel like Halfalcon noticed that, Mousestripe is interested in oddities and he has these inclinations. Maybe I should try and hone this instead of telling him that, oh, it's nothing to be worried about. And so because of that, now Mousestripe is able to kind of find omens in things and be able to predict maybe the good and the bad that might be happening in the clan and what to look out for. Which is wonderful. I really love that. So I'm really proud of Mousestripe, and I think it goes to show the fact that he has retained his charismatic personality goes to show that he does have a strong sense of self. Even though he had two completely different mentors, he did not let that change him in any way. Yes, he grew as a cat and he took on the experience of his two mentors, but they didn't change who he was at his core. He has remained as he is, which I love. Maybe become a better version of himself, but ultimately still is himself. So Mousestripe, welcome to the family. I flippin' love you. You're amazing. Okay, let's check out the Medicine Cat 10. Cloudfur was given moss as treatment for tick bites. Lupine Star overcame her grief. Mac by Heart overcame his grief. Halfalcon was given Daisy as treatment for weak leg. Sunchill gathered wild garlic this moon. And with the additional focus of the clan, the following herbs were gathered: 1 tansy and 1 goldenrod. Okay, now let's take a look at relationships to see what's going on here. Stonespeck admires how brave Cloudfur is. Mousepaw follows through on a small promise made with Stonespeck. Cloudfur bestows wisdom onto Tornfern. Mousepaw tripped Cloudfur. Cloudfur doubts it was an accident. Lupine Star could recognize Cloudfur just by the sound of her paw steps. Lupine Star is rethinking how she feels about Tornfern and gives her another chance. This might be to do with the whole breeding thing, I'm wondering if Lupine Star had high hopes for Tornfern and Hal Falcon, and maybe she is putting a little bit of like the blame for the failure on Tornfern for not being like likable enough maybe to Hal Falcon, because Tornfern is Lupine Star's cousin. But at the same time, I think maybe the reason why Lupine Star was lenient with Hal Falcon breaking away from this whole thing is because Hal Falcon is her nephew. So I think she would maybe give precedent to her nephew's feelings over Tornfern. But now she's kind of rethinking how she was addressing that, and she is probably in her head feeling that maybe I should give Tornfern another chance. You know, maybe I'm being a bit too harsh on Tornfern. Maybe they just weren't right for each other, rather than thinking of it as Tornfern failed this directive that I gave her, which the clan is relying on. Magpie Heart had a disagreement with Hal Falcon about something or other. Again, very fascinating over here. I wonder if Magpie Heart had a disagreement with his son about breaking it off, and he kind of feels as though, you know, this was very important for the clan, but you put your feelings above the feelings of the clan. What were you thinking? So maybe he's unable to understand this decision that Hal Falcon has made. Because unlike his sister, Lupine Star, I think Magpie Heart was only paired up once with Neo Star. And he didn't fight against that pairing. He made it work. They ended up falling in love. And they had, you know, Hal Falcon. So I think Magpie Heart in his head, he can't work out how you'd have the courage to walk away from an arrangement that the clan has made for you. Magpie Heart snaps at Mousepaw to leave him alone. Probably still feeling like sensitive from that. Sensual learns that Cloudfur is scared of Thunder too. Hal Falcon helps Sensual hide from a clanmate. Tornfern asks Cloudfur if her fur looks clean. I wonder if Hal Falcon is helping Sensual hide from Magpie Heart, because Sensual, you know, is paranoid about Magpie Heart. Magpie Heart hasn't told anyone about his secret yet, but he's paranoid that Magpie Heart has. And Hal Falcon had a disagreement with his father, so he's probably avoiding his father as well. So that's kind of interesting. Tornfern asks Cloudfur if her fur looks clean. Tornfern has noticed Mousepaw isn't doing a lot of work lately. Hal Falcon always asks where Lupine Star is, so he gets along very well with his aunt. Mousestripe observes Sunchill carefully attending to any cat that needs help. Okay, so between, you know, Tornfern noticing that Mousepaw hasn't been doing a lot of work, and Mousestripe observing Sunchill, obviously Mousestripe has had the warrior ceremony, and that is all that we have for events. So let me cut the recording here and we'll continue with the cat list. Okay, let's continue with the cat list. First up, we have loyalties, where nothing has changed. Stonespec is still keeping an eye on Lupine Star. And the big change, or I suppose, directive of this moon for Lupine Star is to figure out what to do with Tornfern. And she was calm in the previous episode because she did have a bit of a backup plan for Tornfern. And like we saw in events, she wants to give Tornfern another chance, rather than think that, you know, Tornfern kind of failed. Although it does feel, I think this shows how shameless Lupine Star is, because it feels a bit unfair that when it was Lupine Star's turn, like when she was younger as Lupine Claw, she rejected her first mate, you know, and she was hesitant towards the second one, or she wasn't cooperative. She used to bully him, and then unexpectedly she fell in love. But she was resistant to arrangements when she was younger. But when her cousin is doing the same thing, she's kind of holding it against her cousin. But I suppose it's because Lupine Star has all these grand ideas for growing the clan, you know, under her leadership, and they basically chased away the outsiders, and she wants to kind of keep it that way. So she's got a lot riding on this, and she's kind of being shameless in that, I don't care if I was like this when I was younger. You need to be different because it's not going to work under my leadership, like it's going against my plans. But she has decided that she is actually going to pair up Tornfern with the newly aged up Mousestripe. So just like Hal Falcon, Mousestripe is another one of her cousin's sons. So, you know, they have kind of the Hal Falcon and Mousestripe have the same relation to Tornfern. So Mousestripe he is the son of Tornfern's cousin. So that's kind of their distant relation. But this is what the clan leader has decided, that it's going to be Tornfern and Mousestripe. And this is like Tornfern's second chance to breed within the clan. Now, unlike her pairing with Halfalcon, this is not a compatible match. But we shall have to see if it's going to work out or not, because in the case of her and Halfalcon, even though they were compatible, it did not work out. So we have this going on. We'll see how that goes between the two of them. That is her second chance. And obviously we can't mediate either, because Tornfern, is serving as mediator. So we'll have to see how that goes. I kind of just want to see. Yeah, they're not even friends. These two are not even friends. So I don't know how this is going to work. They definitely have a lot less of a relationship with each other than Tornfern did with Halfalcon. So I'm a little bit apprehensive. But this is Lupine Star's backup plan. So we'll see how the backup plan goes. But okay, let's see what everyone's doing for the day. Lupine Star pounced on some movement under the snow like a fox. Magpie Heart daydreams about being a warrior in Lion Clan. Sunchill convinces Mousepaw to play Mossball with him. This is probably dreaming, like in his dreams, trying to convince Mousepaw to play Mossball with him, because his son has now grown up into a warrior, and he can probably hardly believe it. Tornfern is cleaning the clearing of snow. Halfalcon guards camp. Mousestripe is looking up, watching the clouds roll by. Stonespeck is snoring in her sleep, and Cloudfur recently spent the night outside of camp. And that is all we have for our cat list. So let me cut the recording here and we'll continue with patrols. Okay, we are resuming with patrols. We currently have 13.9 prey, we need 19. So aside from our medicine cat, we are going to be focused on hunting. But let's send Sunchill out first of all. Sunchill heads out into the territory to stock up on cobwebs, something the clan never seems to have enough of. Proceed. Overtired from caring for his patients all day and night, the only cobwebs Sunchill manages to collect are the ones he accidentally walked into. Now, what I'm noticing in a lot of his patrols is that Sunchill is very distracted with his work and is unable to kind of get things done, and I feel like that in huge part is because of the guilt he has towards accidentally killing Daisyquake, and maybe he doubts a lot of his abilities, and so when he's working in camp, he's very overwhelmed, and then when he goes out on patrols, maybe he doesn't trust himself to pick out the right stuff. And now we have Mousestripe, his first patrol as a warrior, Halfalcon, Magpie Heart, and Lupine Star, who are going to be going out on a hunting patrol, so let's see how they go here. It starts snowing soon after the patrol sets out, trying to bring back something, anything for the fresh kill pile. I am nervous because it is Leaf Bear and the amount of snowstorms we get involved in. But here we go. Despite the snow, the patrol manages to hunt successfully, lurking where the songbirds forage. Only a couple, but in this season, that's more than enough to count as a success. As Lupine Star leads the way home, a sense of security and competence drives them onwards. A small amount of prey is brought to camp. Excellent! We have 29.9 prey, which means we are not going to be facing starvation or anything of the like, which is wonderful. But okay guys, with that said and done, I'm going to leave off here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you all next time. Bye-bye. Okay, really quickly before we leave off, I forgot to mention this, but since we don't have any kittens or apprentices in the clan, I can probably play some moons off camera until we get a pregnancy notice. So that is actually what I'm going to do. And I wanted to let you guys know, in case we come back next time and a lot of time has passed and a lot has changed. I mean, we know how things like this have been wild beforehand, so I really don't know what's going to happen, but we might only be gone for like a moon, or we might be gone for quite a few moons, and when we come back in the next episode, the clan might look quite different to what it does right now. So I just wanted to make you guys aware of that I will be playing off camera until we get another pregnancy notice.